welcome to The Diary of a Barrister. I'm Chelsea Brooke Ward, an employment barrister at Park Square Barristers. I'm passionate about inspiring others, whether that be professionals or law students. I want to help lawyers become the best versions of themselves, both professionally and personally. So we've started this podcast to give insight and coaching to those who have or want a career in law. This podcast is all about demystifying the world of law, from the courtroom to the challenges of building a career at the bar. We'll delve into everything from advocacy tips and career strategies to the human side of life as a lawyer. Welcome to The Diary of a Barrister.
Hello, beautiful humans, and welcome back to The Diary of a Barrister. I'm Chelsea Brooke Ward, your host, employment barrister, head of the employment team at Park Square Barristers, and founder of Diary of a Barrister. Okay, so this week we're talking about the third law of pupillage out of my 3 laws of pupillage, which will help you to get that really rare desired pupillage. So when we talk about the third law of pupillage, we're talking about something that makes many law students uncomfortable because it feels intangible, even indulgent compared to hard work and credentials. Yet it is the law that often explains why 2 candidates with similar academics, similar experience, and similar effort can have very different outcomes. The third law is attraction. Not in a mystical sense, law of attraction, divorced from reality, but in the very real, practical sense of how you are perceived, remembered, trusted, and ultimately chosen. At its core, the third law is about what you signal to the profession before you even open your mouth in an interview. And it's about the energy you bring into rooms, onto paper, and into conversations. Chambers do not just recruit CVs or applications, they recruit people with experience. People they will spend long days, long arse hours with, trust clients with, and rely on under pressure. Attraction is about becoming someone others want to invest in. Because ultimately, that's what Chambers is going to do. And many aspiring barristers misunderstand attraction as a self-promotional, confidence bordering on arrogance kind of thing. And in truth, attraction is rooted in authenticity. It's what happens when who you are, what you value, and how you act all align. When that alignment is present, people genuinely feel it. And when they can genuinely feel it, you're getting that emotional reaction, which makes you memorable. If you've listened to some of my other content previously, you want to be remembered for the right reasons. And by tugging on someone's emotion in the right way, that is a almost guarantee that you are going to be remembered by that person. But when that alignment is missing, no amount of polish can disguise it for long. If your application and your experience is just disjointed, you look like a disjointed person. And I don't know about you, but I don't want a disjointed person representing me in court. So, the first thing to understand is that attraction is not passive. You do not simply wait to be noticed. You actively shape how you show up. So every interaction, however small, contributes to a narrative about you. Emails to clerks, conversations at events, questions asked after talks, even how you sit in court during a mini pupillage, all send signals. Are you taking notes? Are you taking notice? Most candidates underestimate how closely these things are observed. And I can't tell you the amount of times I've had a mini pupillage come to shadow me. They've not brought a pen, they've not brought a pad, they've not brought a laptop. And so the indication is they're not taking notes. If they're not taking notes, how are they going to learn? If they're not learning, what benefit is this? If they're not learning, don't waste my fucking time. So a key part of the third law is presence. Presence is not about being loud or proud or dominating space, but it's about being grounded and attentive. When you're present, you listen properly, you respond thoughtfully, and you're not desperately trying to impress. If you're in the moment, it means your head is in the moment and not in the fucking clouds. So ironically, that calm assurance is far more attractive than nervous overperformance. But many students believe that they need to prove themselves constantly. So they act like they think they're expected to act. And that means that they're constantly thinking about something else because they're faking it. They're putting on a show. So their thought process is, well, how should I act next? What should I say next? Rather than being in the moment where they actually learn something. So in reality, what chambers often look for is someone who seems comfortable in learning. Confidence under the third law is quiet. It's confidence rooted in preparation and self-knowledge. You know what you are working towards. You know what your strengths are. You know where there are gaps. That self-awareness and having the confidence to say, yeah, I didn't do great at that, but look what else I did. You're not pretending to be further along than you are. This kind of confidence is rare, and therefore it's quite compelling because it's important, more so than anything else in my opinion, because if you're not confident in your ability, if you're not confident that you're going to get pupillage, if you're not confident that you're going to be a good barrister, if you're not confident that you're going to try, then why on earth should anybody else believe you if you don't believe yourself? And if you don't believe in yourself, that is going to come across. Confidence isn't something that is in our DNA that we're born with and, you're not confident, that's it. Confidence is a skill, and you can build on that confidence by putting yourself in situations that are outside your comfort zone. If you're not experienced in public speaking, get more public speaking opportunities and experience. If you're somebody that stays at home all the time and doesn't go to networking events, put yourself in networking events. Make sure you talk to 3 or 4 people. Set yourself some bare minimums surrounding things that you don't usually do that put yourself in situations that are outside your comfort zone. And the more that you do that, the more your confidence will grow. Attraction also operates through clarity. It's a word I use time and time again, but people are drawn to those who know where they're going. That instills in the listener some type of confidence. If you know exactly what it is that you want, or you know exactly what it is that you don't want, and you've got evidence to prove that, and you've got experience that is consistent over a period of time that supports that, I think the listener or the reader can be confident that this person knows what they're setting themselves up for. This person knows what this job entails. They know what it entails, and yet they're still going all guns blazing. And it really, really shows that you have thought about your career and your life and where you want to be in 10 years' time. And most people are just thinking about getting the application done as soon as they can. But those that have that much forethought and have planned for years by garnering their experience that aligns with the area of law or the type of barrister that they want to be, and it aligns with their values, and it aligns with the person that they are at their core, all that alignment coming together just is absolutely overpowering when you see it. Problem is, don't see it very often. Now, that is quite mesmerizing when you do meet somebody that has all their shit figured out. And I get it. You're sat there saying to me, well, I don't know what area of law I want to go into. I don't know which chambers I want to be at. I just know I want to be a barrister. Well, there must be something about the profession that you know, because otherwise, why are you going for the job? And if there isn't something that you can hook onto that you know for certain that's why you're going into this profession, then you really need to have a conversation with yourself to see whether you are making the right career and life choices. Now, it might be that you know you want a intellectually challenging, quite stressful career, because otherwise you become complacent. And if that is your why, then that needs to be explained to the listener and the reader, because if you don't have anything else that you're confident and certain about, they're going to think that you're not well informed. One of the most practical expressions of the third law is this expression of consistency. Now, the only way, in my opinion, that you can evidence or persuade somebody that you are passionate, or that you're hardworking, or that you're resilient, or that you're one of the other skills that people often overstate in applications, is by showing that your experience consistently over time shows that. So if you're saying that you are hardworking, you need to have some evidence in your arsenal that shows that. Now, having good grades at GCSE, but then poor, mediocre grades thereafter, is not going to show you're hardworking. However, if you have mediocre grades, but you are working 5 jobs at the same time whilst caring for 3 kids, that, on the other hand, might show that you are hardworking. So you need to have a look at your experience from high school up until now and try and articulate what your experience showcases. Where are your skills? Where are your strengths?
Welcome to The Diary of a Barrister. I'm Chelsea Brooke Ward, an employment barrister at Park Square Barristers. I'm passionate about inspiring others, whether that be professionals or law students.
And I'm Brad Graves, an aspiring barrister who's navigating the journey to pupillage. I'm here to bring the perspective of someone who's still on the path, asking the questions and sharing the insights that future barristers want to hear.
I want to help lawyers become the best versions of themselves, both professionally and personally. So we've started this podcast to give insight and coaching to those who have or want a career in law. This podcast is all about demystifying the world of law, from the courtroom to the challenges of building a career at the bar. We'll delve into everything from advocacy tips and career strategies to the human side of life as a lawyer.
Think of us as your behind-the-scenes look at the legal profession, but with a conversational, approachable vibe.
Whether you're a law student, a junior barrister, or just curious about the legal world, there's something here for you.
We'll keep it absolutely real, discussing the highs, the lows, and everything in between. So grab a coffee, put your headphones on, and let's dive in.
Welcome to The Diary of a Barrister.
When you look at that experience, because if it's not attention to detail, if it's not organisation, if it's not something else, there will be some strengths that are shown within your past experience. There will be themes within that, and you need to identify that, because hopefully that kind of characteristic or theme or expression within your past history will hopefully align with the type of law that you're going to go into, that you're applying for. So if it's a case of being able to multitask, then doing an area such as crime or family, where you're being a barrister, you're mopping up the mess that's been left by the failing justice system, or you're also a counsellor and a therapist. There are a number of different sort of juggling jobs, which are in general applicable to most areas of law. If it's your theme that you are somebody that is a great researcher, then criminal law probably doesn't really align with that. So if your experience is about sort of doing deep, intensive research, and that's something that you can showcase that you've been good at, you might be more aligned with sort of the chancery commercial side, where there is usually deep investigations into company assets and backgrounds and areas of law and niche points of law, etc. So one thing that I would say is go back, list out every single thing that you've done, list out what was going on in your personal life at the time, good, bad, or ugly, and try and identify what skills you can identify that showcases. And then try and identify if those skills align with the application that you're making. Because if they do, then you've got that consistency. You've got that evidence already. You don't need to bullshit and blag your way through the question. Your application, your CV, your online presence, your in-person interactions should all be telling really the same story. And so when you can identify those strengths, you're consistently telling that story. This is what I've been good at. This is why I'm going to be good at this. And I'm not going to change because my whole experience shows that that's the type of person that I am. So if your application says that you're passionate about employment law, but your experience reading conversations suggest otherwise, the inconsistency sort of weakens the pull. You don't need to be narrow, but what you need to be is coherent. Another often overlooked element of attraction is professionalism. And this sounds basic, but it is astonishing how many opportunities are quietly lost through small lapses, late emails, sloppy formatting, vague messages, or failing to follow up appropriately, all erode trust. The amount of people that I've said, stay in touch, but don't, is, to me, quite mind-blowing, because I don't have to take my time to do this. I don't have to take my time to have a mini pupillage. I don't have to take my time to mentor people, but I do because I care. I want people in this profession that really care about this profession, because it's the only way the profession is going to stay alive, and it's the only way that we all feel safe living in this beautiful world we live in. It is quite insulting, quite frankly, to offer that and then have no follow-up, no thank you, no kiss my arse or nothing. So professionalism, it's not flashy, it's magnetic. Chambers noticed the candidate who was reliable long before they noticed the one who is dazzling. And the third law is also deeply connected to how you speak about yourself and others. If you consistently frame experience through complaint, bitterness, entitlement, that energy repels. Doesn't mean pretending everything has been easy. It just means showing perspective and being able to say, this was difficult, this is what I learned, and this is how it shaped me. That's far more attractive than listing grievances like you're a victim to the process. Nobody wants to work with somebody with that mindset and mentality. Mentors, sponsors, and advocates play a significant role in attraction. Opportunities often come through people who believe in you and are willing to vouch for you. And the way you treat people cannot directly help you matters just as much as how you treat those that can. The profession is small, and it's smaller than you think. Reputation travels quietly, can take years to build and seconds to lose. Attraction is also about curiosity. So barristers are drawn to people who ask good questions, not performative questions, mind, but those questions designed to show off knowledge, but genuine questions that show engagement and thought. Curiosity signals humility and intelligence at the same time, and it suggests that you might be a pleasure to teach and ultimately to work with. So if there are questions that you want to ask, genuinely want to ask because you genuinely want to know, then by all means ask them, but don't ask them for the sake of just asking a question. Your relationship with rejection is another powerful signal under the third law, because everyone in this process faces rejection. Everyone in life faces rejection. And if they don't, they're not human. How you carry it affects how others see you and how you see yourself. So if rejection makes you defensive or cynical, that energy leaks out. So if rejection sharpens your focus and deepens your resolve, people will notice that. Resilience is attractive because it suggests longevity. It suggests a certain mindset. It suggests a certain outlook of life. And if you are somebody that is downtrodden and beaten by rejection or defeat, then you're probably not somebody that's suitable to be a barrister. But if you're somebody that takes a rejection as another opportunity, great, another year to grow. It means I can go and do this and I can get this experience. And then when I come back next year, I can talk about this and I can talk about this. That's the kind of person we need. Because ultimately, if you are defeated by losing, or by being told no, then you're not going to last very long. Because let me tell you something, doesn't matter how good you are, you will never win every case. Because you're only as good as the case that you've got. And trust me, some of them are shit. There is also the quieter aspect of the attraction point that relates to boundaries. So people are drawn to those who respect themselves. Over-apologising, over-explaining or undervaluing your own time sends a message that you don't trust your own worth. You can be humble without diminishing yourself, and that balance is quite compelling. Now, the third law requires you to take responsibility for your inner narrative. If you constantly tell yourself that the system is stacked against you, nobody from your background has ever become a barrister, that you're not good enough, or that success is for other people, that belief will shape how you behave, guaranteed. Not because of magical woo-woo, but because beliefs influence posture, tone, risk-taking, persistence. Attraction follows belief-driven behavior. And there is loads of science behind affirmations, visualization, and an intention setting. And I would really recommend that you go and do some research on that. So if you're constantly telling yourself that you're never going to make it, the reality is you never will. So visualization and intention setting often get dismissed in legal circles. Yet they serve a practical function, both in the pursuit of pupillage and also whilst in practice. When you regularly imagine yourself as a barrister, you begin to behave like one. And this might sound quite cheesy and quite embarrassing, quite frankly, but I used to walk around following the mini pupil barrister that I was shadowing at the time, and I'd walk around with my wig and gown on in court, actually thinking to myself that I was his pupil barrister shadowing and following him around. And I really got into that sort of belief system. And I tell you what, did something. But it gives you that discipline when you have that feeling that you're, that 5 minutes of touching the profession that you want to be in. It really gives you that discipline when motivation is lacking to keep going, do, one more question, make one more application, do one more case read, do one more whatever. So belief in yourself is huge. And another part of it is generosity. And it's being willing to share information and encourage other people, contribute to communities without immediate gain, creates goodwill, because ultimately that's what you're going to be doing for a job. Yeah, you get paid for it, but let me tell you, there is so much more work that goes into the pay that you get that is often not seen and done quietly. And the profession remembers kindness, and it also remembers arrogance, and you don't attract success by holding it. Importantly, the third law doesn't replace the first two laws, alignment and action. It amplifies them. This is the concluding law. You have to have the alignment. You have to have the action, because action without substance fades quickly, but substance without attraction can go unnoticed. The candidates who succeed the most often are those who work hard. That's visible because it's carried with confidence and clarity. The ones that do well know where they're going. They take the steps that need to get there, and because they're taking those steps that need to get there consistently over time, their consistent experience attracts those opportunities. So all three laws are important. So if you haven't listened to the other two laws, then go back and listen to those first. It's probably better that you do it in order, and then listen to this one last. And as you move closer to interviews, attraction becomes even more tangible. Panels are not just assessing answers, they're assessing how it feels to speak to you. So do listen carefully. Do you respond to direct questions? Are you adaptable when challenged? These moments where attraction is either built or lost. Even after pupillage, the third law continues to operate. Your practice will grow in part because solicitors enjoy instructing you, colleagues enjoy working with you, and judges trust you. Those relationships are not built on technical skill alone. They are built on presence, reliability, and integrity. And the final point to understand about the third law is that it is within your control, but not through force. You can't force attraction. You cultivate it by becoming more grounded, more prepared, and more yourself. When you stop chasing and grasping for approval and start embodying the values and opportunities, tend to find you. And the third law asks a different question from most application guidance. Not how do I impress, but who am I becoming in the process? When you focus on that question, your applications, your interviews, your interactions begin to carry a different weight. And in a profession that is highly competitive and deeply human, that weight matters more than most people realise. So don't just do things because you need it for your application form. Do things because it is building and moulding you into a certain type of person. That type of person that will make a great barrister. If you're doing it just for the tick box exercise, that is going to show, and you will probably be one of those in the rejection pile. But not you listeners, because you are listening and you are implementing the advice that I give you. Now, that's it for me. That is the third law of attraction. Not the woo-woo stuff, but the 3 laws of pupillage. I'm Chelsea Brooke Ward. I'm your host, and if you've liked today's episode, please like, subscribe, leave a comment, do something, do your girl a solid. But until next time, good luck.
Diary of a Barrister.